I thought the worst part of my wedding week would be cold feet. Turns out, it was the box left on my doorstep. No label. No return address. Wrapped neatly in black paper with silver ribbon. The kind of gift that feels more like a dare. Inside, no gift, no card. Just a folded note. White. Plain. Typed in bold black font. Ask him about February 14th. That's it. I stared at it for a long time. The handwriting was generic, the message even more so, unless you knew what to look for. February 14th, Valentine's Day, which meant something to someone. Just not to me. That was the night Liam, my fiancé, said he had food poisoning and skipped our dinner plans. I remembered it clearly because I ended up watching 3 episodes of a crime docuseries in my pajamas and joking that I was in a relationship with Postmates. He said he'd make it up to me. He did. Fancy dinner. Roses. All forgiven. Until now. I wanted to believe it was a prank. Maybe my sister being weird. Or one of my friends trying to mess with me for the bachelorette party. But something about the tone, so sterile, so direct, didn't feel like a joke. I waited until Liam got home from work. I didn't show him the note right away. I just asked, carefully, "Hey, what were you doing on Valentine's Day again?" He didn't miss a beat. Throwing up. Why? No reason, I said. Just remembered the soup you ate. What was it again? That's when he hesitated. Just a blink. A fraction too long. Tomato bisque. From that deli near my office. Only we didn't have tomato bisque. I remembered that because I tried to order it, and they were out. And Liam doesn't lie. Or at least, I thought he didn't. So I showed him the note. He read it. Said nothing. Then handed it back and walked straight into the bathroom. Not a single word. I stood there alone in our kitchen, heart pounding. And that's when I remembered something else. His credit card statement came a few days after Valentine's. I hadn't looked at it, but I still had the login. I pulled up the transaction history. February 14th. $418. Hotel Palomar, downtown suite. The moment I saw the hotel charge, I stopped breathing. $418. Downtown suite. Valentine's Day. I stared at the screen like I could blink the numbers into meaning something else. Anything else. Maybe he booked it for a friend. Maybe it was for a surprise proposal. A getaway. Something romantic. But why lie? Why say he was sick? I took a screenshot. Texted it to him without a word. I heard the bathroom door open a minute later. He didn't come into the room. Just hovered in the hallway. Then, I can explain. I waited. You were going through a lot that week, he said. Work stress. Your mom. I didn't want to pile more on. What did you pile on, Liam? He rubbed the back of his neck. I went to the hotel to think. To think. He nodded. I thought maybe I wasn't ready. I needed space. I didn't want to make a mistake. That should have made me angry. But it didn't. It scared me. Because that wasn't a lie. That was a carefully packaged half-truth. The kind people use when they want to hide something darker. I asked, did you go alone? He didn't answer. That was the moment I knew. I said nothing. Walked into the bedroom. Closed the door behind me. And cried so quietly I gave myself a headache. The next day, I called the hotel. Used my bride-to-be voice, the sweet one, the slightly breathless one that makes people feel like they're part of something special. Told them I'd lost the receipt from our engagement weekend and just needed the name it was booked under for my planner. Oh, of course, the front desk woman said. Looks like it was under Liam Dwyer. One guest. Checked in late afternoon, checked out by 10 a.m. the next day. One guest. Yes, ma'am. Just him. Suite 1408. Something about that number rang a bell. I thanked her, hung up, and sat in stunned silence. If there was no second guest, then why lie? Why say he was sick? Why not just say he needed space? Unless it wasn't a who he was hiding. It was a what. That night, I dug deeper. Into his email. Into his cloud storage. Into a side of Liam I had never dared to question before. And in his deleted folder, I found a message from that same week. No subject line. From an address I didn't recognize. e.blake@wellnessfrontier.org. It simply read, Suite booked as requested. No ID needed. Cash only at check-in. She'll be there at 6. Bring what you want her to forget. I reread it 10 times. She'll be there at 6. Bring what you want her to forget. What the hell was that supposed to mean? Wellness Frontier. I Googled it. Nothing but an archived page and a disconnected number. But the organization had a tagline, still cached. Discrete memory solutions for personal reinvention. My stomach turned. That hotel room wasn't for cheating. It was for erasing. I sat in the dark with that sentence echoing in my head. Bring what you want her to forget. It made no sense, and all the sense in the world. A hotel suite. A fake wellness organization. A cash-only transaction. And Liam, suddenly eager to vanish into a lie so clean, he couldn't even look me in the eye. I stared at the sender, e.blake@wellnessfrontier.org. I tried every variation to search for more, archived forums, cached articles, dead links. Nothing current. Just one Reddit thread from 2018 titled, "Anyone heard of memory clinics that aren't hospitals?" One user replied, "My cousin said he met a girl who did one of those clean slate weekends. Woke up in a hotel with a headache and zero memory of the guy she went in with. Said it was the best thing that ever happened to her." Another comment was removed. I refreshed the email. My hands were trembling now. What had he erased? Who had he made forget, and why? I couldn't sleep. By morning, I had a plan. I returned to Hotel Palomar and walked straight to the front desk. This time, I didn't fake sweetness. My fiancé stayed here on February 14th, in Suite 1408. I'm not here for the reservation. I'm here for what was inside. The clerk hesitated. "Ma'am, we can't disclose." "There was a second guest," I said. "I know what room it was. I know who booked it. And if you don't tell me what happened, I'll come back with a lawyer and a very public story about your hotel being involved in illegal therapy clinics." He looked around, then leaned in. "There was an incident," he said. "Not a crime, just unusual. The woman arrived first. He showed up 2 hours later. We were told not to interact. Just provide what was requested." "What was requested?" "Noise-canceling headphones, a first aid kit, 2 blackout sleeping masks, and a portable 4. I stared at him. What kind of hotel provides that? He didn't answer. Just handed me a card. W. Holloway, Suite Services. "This is the only person who might still have records," he said. "But I'd be careful. Not all guests come to forget." I texted Liam that night. No questions. No accusations. Just one sentence. "I know about Suite 1408. He didn't reply. But an hour later, someone slid an envelope under my front door. No name. No stamp. Inside, a single Polaroid. Liam, holding a crying woman. The timestamp? February 14th. But her face. It was mine. Only I don't remember ever being there. I must have stared at that Polaroid for a full 10 minutes, my fingers shaking too hard to keep it still. It was unmistakably me. Same hair, same jawline, same scar above my brow from falling off my bike at age 9. Only, I didn't remember being there. I didn't remember any of it. Liam sat on the edge of a hotel bed, arms wrapped around me. Well, the version of me in the photo. I was crying, face pressed into his neck like my world had just collapsed. The timestamp didn't lie. February 14th, 10:47 p.m. But if I'd been there, if I'd cried like that, why didn't I remember a single second? I flipped the photo over. In the same typed font as the first note was one word. Removed. That's when my knees gave out. I sat on the kitchen floor, photo in hand, and let my mind spiral. What had been removed? A fight? A confession? Me? I had no memory of that night beyond ordering takeout and binge-watching crime shows. But now even that felt staged. Or planted. What if I had gone to that hotel? What if I had wanted to forget? And what if Liam helped me do it? I called the number on the card the hotel clerk gave me. No answer. Left a message. 30 minutes later, I got a call from a private number. I answered. "Is this about 1408? The voice asked. A woman. Calm. Crisp. Familiar in that clinical kind of way. "Yes. You were the client," she said, like she already knew. "Not him. No," I said. "I don't remember any of it." "That's the point," she replied. I felt sick. What did I forget? She hesitated. "Do you want the recording?" My breath caught. "There's a recording?" "It's protocol," she said. "Consent must be recorded on site. You requested it. We keep it for 7 days. After that, deletion is permanent." It had been 6 days. "I want it," I said. She gave me an address. Downtown. Industrial District. 1 hour. Come alone. The building was tucked between an abandoned warehouse and a massage parlor that looked like a front for something else. The door was unmarked. Just a buzzer. I pressed it. The door clicked open. Inside, a woman, late 40s, smartly dressed, tablet in hand. "Ms. Bennett," she said. "Follow me." We walked through a maze of sterile hallways until we reached a viewing room. She handed me a set of headphones and pressed play on the screen. The footage started with a shot of a room I didn't recognize. Dim lighting, a couch, a camera on a tripod, a table with documents, and me, sitting alone. My voice cracked on the speakers. I understand the procedure. I am choosing to forget what happened tonight. No one is coercing me. I give full consent to erase the memory from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. on February 14th. Then the tech asked me, "And what happened tonight?" My answer came out choked, broken. He told me. About her. About the baby. My vision blurred. I was shaking. I ripped the headphones off. "Stop," I whispered. But it was too late. Because I already knew what I'd said. Liam had cheated. And gotten someone pregnant. And I chose to forget. I left the clinic in a daze, the air thick with truths I'd already lived once and paid to erase. I tried to piece together the logic. I had discovered the affair. I'd confronted Liam. I'd broken. Then, instead of walking away, I'd begged to forget. What kind of person does that? A coward? A woman in love? Someone desperate to cling to the future she planned, even if the past was bleeding through it? I didn't know. I only knew that whoever I was on February 14th, she was gone now. I drove around for an hour, then parked outside the old marina, the place where Liam first told me he loved me. The irony tasted bitter. That night, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I just kept staring at that photo, the one of me crying in his arms, trying to feel what she felt. But I didn't cry. Not until I searched his iPad. He always used the same passcode. For digits, birth year of our dog. Stupid. Sentimental. Inside his notes app was a folder titled, Untitled. Within it, a saved message. Never sent. I did something awful. I told her. I watched her fall apart. And then, she asked to forget. I shouldn't have let her. But I wanted the chance to keep what we had, even if it was built on a lie. Her name is Mia. There it was. The name of the woman he cheated with. Mia. And beneath it, an address. A due date. A line that said, she wants to keep it. She said I don't have to be involved. I read it 5 times. Then I drove. The address was a small white rental house in the suburbs. Clean yard. Wind chimes. A cat watching me from the window like it already knew I didn't belong. I knocked. The woman who answered was beautiful in that understated way. Loose sweater. No makeup. Soft eyes. Pregnant. Clearly. "Can I help you?" she asked. I said her name like it was a confession. "Mia." She blinked. "Yes. I'm Julia. Liam's." Her face changed. Not shock. Not guilt. Something worse, recognition. She stepped outside and closed the door behind her. "I knew you'd come eventually," she said softly. "He said you might. That you'd probably remember." "I don't," I said. "Not all of it. Just enough." She sighed. "I didn't know he was engaged. Not until after. And by then." She placed a hand on her stomach. It wasn't a decision I could undo. My mouth was dry. "Why didn't you come forward?" "I was going to. I even wrote you a letter. But he called me, begged me not to. Said you were fragile. That you had a history of breakdowns." I stiffened. "That's a lie." She met my eyes. "Is it?" That cut deeper than I expected. "I'm keeping the baby," she said. "Not because of him. Because she's mine. I don't want anything from you. Or from Liam. But you deserve to know." I turned to leave. But then she said something I'll never forget. "He said you'd still marry him." I froze. "What?" She nodded. "That was the last thing he said to me. That he was sure you'd never leave. Because you'd already made the choice to forget." And in that moment, I understood. Liam didn't fear the truth. He counted on me not wanting it. I didn't go home that night. I drove aimlessly until I ran out of gas and ended up at a rest stop off the interstate, parked under flickering lights, breathing through a paper bag I found under the seat. My wedding was in 4 days. My dress hung in the guest room. Guests were flying in. Deposits paid. Vows written. And my fiancé had fathered a child with a woman he swore I'd never know about. Because he knew, I taught him that when it came to pain, I didn't confront it. I buried it. Until now. When I got back to my apartment the next morning, another box was waiting. Same black wrapping. Same silver ribbon. This time, no note. No instructions. Inside, a silver locket. I opened it. On one side, a photo of Liam. On the other, me and Mia. Sitting at a cafe. Talking. Smiling. My hands went cold. I'd never met her before yesterday. I was sure of it. But there we were, comfortable, familiar. Laughing over coffee like old friends. Only. I had no memory of it. There was a receipt in the bottom of the box. Cafe Clementine. Dated February 13th. One day before the hotel. Had I gone to her first? Did I know before Valentine's Day? Did I meet her, ask questions, and still decide to forget? I had to know. I drove to the cafe. I showed the photo to the barista. He squinted. Yeah, I remember you too. You sat there for hours. Lots of crying. And then you asked me if I knew where you could make things disappear. I thought it was metaphorical. I stared at him. Did I say anything else? He shrugged. You said you weren't mad at her. Just at yourself. For knowing the truth and still trying to love someone through it. I left before I could cry. Back home, I finally confronted Liam. He was in the kitchen, acting like nothing had happened. Like the boxes, the photo, the child, none of it mattered. I know, I said quietly. Everything. He didn't ask how. He just stood there. I reached into my bag, pulled out the locket, and set it on the counter. I met her, I added. Still, he said nothing. Then I said the one thing I knew would draw blood. I was never fragile. You just knew I loved you enough to lie to myself. His jaw tightened. You still could. I laughed, bitter. You think I'd marry you after this? You were going to, he snapped. You already did. You chose to forget. Don't put this on me. You begged me not to tell you again. You wanted a clean start. I stared at him. You paid someone to erase part of my mind. He stepped closer. I did what you asked me to do. That shut me up. Because he wasn't lying. That's what scared me most. And then he leaned in, his voice cold and steady. You walked into that hotel knowing everything. And you said, make it go away. You did that, Julia. You chose me. I whispered, not anymore. He stared at me. So what now? I opened the drawer behind me, pulled out the box I had hidden since the night I found the hotel receipt. I set it on the table. Inside, my engagement ring. And a copy of a prenup he didn't know I had already voided. Now, I said. Now we see who forgets who first. Liam didn't say anything at first. He just stared at the ring like it was a weapon. Like it might explode if you moved too fast. You're overreacting, he finally muttered. I laughed short, sharp. I erased my memory to stay with you, Liam. Overreacting would have been setting this place on fire. His expression twisted. You think walking away makes you the good guy? You wanted to forget. You paid to forget. And you made sure I did, I snapped. Because it suited you. He didn't deny it. You wanted a clean slate, he said. I gave you one. You gave yourself a shield, I said. You thought if I didn't remember, you didn't have to feel guilty. You didn't have to lose. He looked down, voice low. I didn't want to lose you. You already did. I didn't tell anyone why the wedding was canceled. I just sent a single group message the next morning. Life happens fast. Thank you for understanding. Please give us space. The replies flooded in hearts, sad faces, here if you need text from people who'd been more excited for the open bar than our vows. Emma, my maid of honor, called me in tears. Do I need to fight someone? I almost told her everything. Almost. But something in me still couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I packed. I didn't cry. Not when I took down the registry. Not when I canceled the honeymoon. Not when I boxed up the photos of us smiling through lies. I just packed. Until I reached the bottom drawer of Liam's desk. And found something new. An envelope. No name. Just a sticky note on the front that said, if she remembers. My hands went numb. Inside was a USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop, heart thudding like it wanted to escape my ribs. A video loaded. Hotel suite. Dim lighting. Same room from the recording. But this wasn't the consent footage. This was after. I was sitting on the bed, eyes glassy, voice slow. Liam stood in front of me, holding my hands. It's done, he said. You won't remember what I told you. Not tomorrow. Not ever. And when you ask, I'll lie. And you'll believe me. Because you want to. I nodded. Smiled, even. He kissed my forehead. And then he looked straight into the camera and said, Happy wedding, baby. I fixed everything. I slammed the laptop shut. My stomach twisted so violently I nearly threw up. This wasn't a mistake. This was manipulation by design. He had watched me unravel, break, beg to forget, and then, instead of comforting me, instead of fixing what he broke, he hit reset. He never planned to tell me again. He planned to keep me broken just enough to stay. That night, I dropped the ring and USB in a padded envelope. Mailed it to his office. No note. Then I booked a one-way flight. Not to run, but to start somewhere he'd never touched. And as I waited at the gate, my phone buzzed. A single message. Check your wrist. Confused, I looked down. There, on the inside of my left wrist, barely visible under the sleeve of my sweater, was a tiny scar, like an incision. I had never noticed it before, and suddenly, I realized. Maybe the memory wasn't all he erased. I stared at the scar like it was foreign, like it belonged to someone else's body. But it was mine. A thin, clean line. Barely there. Not the kind you get from an accident or clumsiness. It looked intentional, surgical. And the moment I saw it, something shifted in my brain, like a door creaking open that had been nailed shut for months. Flashes. Sounds. Pain. I gripped the armrest in the airport lounge as nausea hit hard. My head spun, dizzy with fragments. A dark room. A needle. Someone saying, "She'll only remember what you want her to." I gasped. A man's face. Not Liam. A doctor? No, not a doctor. A technician. I didn't board the flight. Back at my apartment, I tore through everything I owned. Medical bills. Bank statements. Anything out of the ordinary. Then I found it. A receipt buried in my email spam folder. Dated January 27th, 2 weeks before Valentine's Day. It was for a medical device implant. Listed under a pseudonym, Jane B. From a clinic in Nevada. The note on the invoice. Subdermal memory capsule removal, Phase 2. I sat there, frozen. Phase 2. What the hell was Phase 1? And who was Jane B? I called the clinic. Got nothing but a disconnected number. So I called Emma, the one person I still trusted. "Emma," I said, "can you meet me?" We sat in her car, parked on the edge of town near an overlook we used to visit in college. I told her everything. From the note to the locket, the hotel, the erased memory, the video, the scar, all of it. She didn't blink. Just listened. Like she'd been waiting. When I finally looked up, she said something that made my blood run cold. "I think you were part of a trial." "What kind of trial?" "A cognitive rewrite," she said. "It's real. And it's quiet. It's not for the public. But I know someone who went through it." "Who?" "My sister." I blinked. "You don't have a sister." She gave me a look. "Exactly." And just like that, the ground shifted again. Her name was Becca. She went missing 3 years ago. I found her once. At a train station. She didn't know who I was. Didn't even flinch when I said her name. She was with some man. Later, I traced her records. They'd been scrubbed. My chest tightened. "You think I was rewritten?" Emma nodded. "Or prepared to be." I pulled up the name on the invoice. Jane B. She took my phone and typed something in. A death certificate popped up. Jane Becca Holloway. Died in 2020. Nevada. My head spun. "That's your sister." She nodded. "But that's not who I saw." We sat in silence. Then Emma whispered, "I think Liam knew exactly what he was doing. And I don't think you were the first." My stomach twisted. She turned to me. "You need to find out who paid for that procedure. If it wasn't you, then someone wanted you rewritten for a reason." I nodded, slowly. Then I remembered the first message. The box. The note. "Ask him about February 14th. Someone had been trying to tell me from the start. Someone who knew. And they were still watching. Because when I got home that night, there was a package waiting on my kitchen table. Unmarked. No return address. Inside, a burner phone. And one message already loaded. He didn't do this alone. I stared at the burner phone like it might bite me. One message. 6 words. Enough to crack the floor wide open. He didn't do this alone. I didn't know what scared me more, what it meant, or how the phone got inside my locked apartment. Someone had been there. Someone who didn't want to hurt me, but wanted me to know. I scrolled the burner's contacts. Only one entry. Call me. No number. No name. Just that. I waited an hour. Maybe 2. But curiosity always wins. I hit call. 2 rings. Then a voice, female, calm and clipped. "I was wondering when you'd stop running." "Who is this?" "You don't know me," she said. "But I know you. More importantly, I knew them." "Who?" "Liam. And Dr. Kessler. The man who ran your wipe." I felt my chest tighten. So it was a memory erase? "It was more than that," she said. "It was a redirect." I blinked. "What does that mean?" "You weren't just trying to forget, Julia. They were trying to replace. That's what the subdermal capsule was for. It didn't just delete, it implanted. A new version of events. A story you could live with." "No," I whispered. "That's not possible." "It's very possible. And it's happened before. I should know. I built the tech." Silence. "I left the company when they started running private clients through it. Unstable ones. Like your fiancé. Why me? I asked. Why did you want to change my memory? Because you were going to expose him, she said. You found something. Something bigger than the affair. Something you weren't supposed to know. I was shaking. What was it? She hesitated. That's what I'm here to help you remember. Emma and I met her the next day. A woman in her 50s, crisp gray bob, sharp eyes that scanned every room before she entered. She introduced herself as Dr. Lena Rourke, former neural systems engineer, now off-grid and angry. She pulled out a folder and laid it on the table. Inside, documents, photos, records. The first page stopped me cold. Neuroimprint Trial 07, subject, Julia Bennett. Dated 6 months ago. Initiated by L. Dwyer. Liam. The procedure was never approved, Dr. Rourke explained. But he had money, connections, and desperation. He submitted you under false psychiatric records, said you were a danger to yourself, that you'd attempted to take your own life. My mouth went dry. That's not true, I said. I've never. I know, she replied. But it didn't matter. All it took was one signature, one psych eval, and a second party to confirm. A second party? Dr. Rourke nodded grimly. He needed someone else to co-sign the lie. Emma leaned forward. Who? Rourke hesitated. Then she flipped the next page. A signed affidavit. I felt the blood drain from my face. Signed by Dr. Hannah Green, my therapist. The woman who sat across from me for 2 years. Who listened to every vulnerability, every fear, every broken confession. She sold me out, I said, numb. Dr. Rourke nodded. And Liam paid her well to do it. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Then she pulled out one last thing. A photo of Dr. Green and Liam. Together. Smiling. In bed. She wasn't just your therapist, Dr. Rourke said quietly. She was his insurance policy. And then Emma whispered what I couldn't. He had you surrounded. The betrayal was complete. My therapist, Dr. Hannah Green, the woman who held my secrets, helped me climb out of depression, guided me through panic attacks, had been sleeping with my fiancé. And worse? She had helped him rewrite me. I stared at the affidavit, my signature forged at the bottom. It authorized cognitive memory realignment in the interest of mental stability. A lie so clean it could have passed through court undetected. I wasn't just a heartbroken bride. I was a medical crime scene. Dr. Rourke slid a sealed envelope across the table. Her full patient file, she said. Yours. I copied it before they wiped her drive. Emma opened it. The first page was a progress report. Clinical language. Cold. Precise. Patient shows signs of attachment trauma. Easily influenced by dominant emotional partners. Ideal for suggestion-based intervention. Subject unaware of emotional manipulation. Recommended for cognitive override. At the bottom, session notes, co-author, L. Dwyer. My own therapy sessions were co-authored by my fiancé. He fed her my triggers, I whispered. He told her what to say. Emma's eyes brimmed. He used your healing as a blueprint to control you. Rourke slid another document forward. A series of timelines. Parallel. Column A. Actual events. Column B. Implanted memories. Every meaningful moment Liam and I supposedly shared, from our weekend getaway to the night he proposed, had been altered. Tweaked. Rewritten to remove tension. Redesign history. And I'd lived it. I believed it. I felt sick. Like I could claw my own skin off and still not get clean. What happens now? I asked. Rourke paused. That depends. You want to disappear? I can help. I have the tools, the documents. You could vanish tonight, and no one would find you. Emma looked at me. Or, Rourke said, you go public. You expose Liam. The clinic. Dr. Green. Every last person who helped turn you into a puppet. But he'll deny it, I said. Rourke smiled darkly. Not with what's on this. She pulled out one last item, a tiny black flash drive. It's a full recording of your actual final therapy session. The one they said didn't exist. Hannah kept it. Private folder. Probably to blackmail him later. I took the drive. What's on it? Rourke met my eyes. Proof that you never wanted to forget. That when you learned the truth, you said no. That he begged. Manipulated. And when you still said no, he did it anyway. I blinked hard. So the memory I have of asking to forget is fake? Rourke nodded. They erased your refusal. That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the drive. My entire life hinged on what it contained. Truth, power, justice. All inside something the size of a paperclip. Emma sat beside me on the floor of my apartment. What are you going to do? she asked. I don't know, I said. But I can't pretend anymore. I can't live in a lie they build around me. She took my hand. Then let's burn it down. And just as I was about to plug the drive in, my phone lit up. A call. Blocked number. I answered. Liam's voice, low and calm. You don't want to do this, Julia. I said nothing. He continued. There's more than just your memory on that drive. You expose me. You expose yourself. And before I could respond, he whispered. You should ask Emma where she was that night. I turned to her slowly. She didn't look surprised. She just said, I was trying to protect you. Emma's words hung in the air like smoke. I was trying to protect you. From what? From him? Or from the truth? I didn't speak right away. I couldn't. My heart was a jackhammer in my chest, pounding against a foundation that no longer felt steady. Emma, I said slowly, what did you do? She looked tired. Not guilty. Just worn. You weren't supposed to find out this way. I stood up. Find out what? She exhaled. I was there that night. At the hotel. My knees almost buckled. Why? I followed you, she said. You told me you were going to confront Liam. You were scared. I didn't trust him. I didn't trust what he might do to you. So I waited in the parking lot. Just in case. I didn't blink. And she looked away. I saw you come out hours later. You looked empty. Like someone had scooped you out and left the shell. My voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? Because I found out what he did after. I confronted Hannah. She laughed in my face. Said you were better off. Emma reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive identical to the one Rourke gave me. I broke into her office 2 days later. I stole this. I was going to use it to blackmail them into staying away from you. You should have told me. I thought if you knew everything, it would destroy you. I stepped back. So you decided to keep lying. Like him. Like her. Tears welled in her eyes. I thought I was helping. I loved you, Jules. Past tense. It hit me harder than I expected. I sat back down. The laptop waited in silence. The original drive, Rourke's, still plugged in. I clicked play. The real final therapy session began. There I was, sitting on the couch in Dr. Green's office. Furious. Devastated. Eyes burning. He cheated, I said. He lied. I trusted him. I trusted you. Hannah's voice. Julia, I know this is hard. But we can help you let go. Move forward. I don't want to forget, I said. I want to remember every second. So I never let this happen again. Then Liam's voice entered the frame. Soft. Pleading. Babe, please. You said you wanted a clean start. I changed my mind. I snapped. I want out. I want to leave. Hannah, you're not thinking clearly. We'll schedule the procedure for tomorrow. I stood up in the video. Angry. Alive. If you touch my mind without my consent, I swear to God. The screen glitched. The feed cut. Dr. Rourke's voice echoed in my memory. They erased your refusal. It was all there. Proof. I shut the laptop. Turned to Emma. You didn't trust me enough to let me choose. I was scared you'd break, she whispered. But I see now. You already did. I stood up. And then I made the final decision. I sent the video. To the police. To the media. To every contact in Hannah's professional circle. I made sure the truth had nowhere to hide. And then I disappeared. It's been 6 months. Liam lost everything. Hannah lost her license. Dr. Rourke vanished too, but not before sending me one final message. You rewrote your own ending. That's all that matters. And Emma? I haven't heard from her. But I carry her drive in my bag. Maybe I'll watch it someday. Maybe I won't. Because this is what I know now. They tried to rewrite me. They failed. I remember everything.